Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night with that strange, chilling feeling that you're not alone? For me, it started 3 weeks ago. It's always the same time. Every single night, my eyes snap open, and the digital clock on my bedside table glows with the numbers 3:17 a.m. And every single night, I see it. At the far end of my long, dark hallway, there's a figure. It's tall, unnervingly so. A solid black silhouette against the faint moonlight filtering through the living room window. It's just a shape, a cutout of a man, but it feels more real than anything else in the room. It never moves. It never makes a sound. It just stands there, watching. The first night, I was terrified. I squeezed my eyes shut, pulled the covers over my head, and just waited for morning, my heart pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird. I told myself it was a dream, a hallucination, my mind playing tricks on me in that blurry space between sleep and wakefulness. Sleep paralysis, maybe. I even looked it up. It seemed logical. By morning, with the sun streaming in, it was easy to dismiss. Primera Mother Coffee went to work and laughed at how silly I'd been. A shadow. Really? But then, the next night, it happened again. 3:17 a.m. My eyes open, and there it was. The figure exactly where it had been before. My rational brain started to show. I tried to convince myself it was a coat rack, a trick of the light, anything. I even got up the next day and moved every single object out of the hallway. There was nothing there. Just a long, empty corridor. That night, I tried to stay awake. I drank coffee until my hands were shaking, watched movies, anything to fight off sleep. But eventually, my eyelids grew heavy. I must have drifted off for just a moment, because when I woke up with a jolt, the clock read 3:17 a.m. And there it was. The Shadow Man Baptiste time. Something was different. It felt closer. It was a subtle change, almost imperceptible, maybe just a foot or two. But I knew I could feel it in the pit of my stomach. The space between my bedroom door and the figure had shrunk. I laid there, frozen, until the first rays of dawn crept into my room and the figure simply faded away, like smoke. This became my new, horrifying routine. Every morning, I'd wake up exhausted and terrified, and every night, I'd see the figure a little closer than the night before. I started measuring. I'd leave a tiny, almost invisible mark on the floor with a pencil. The first week, it moved about a foot a night. The second week, it was more like 2 feet. The distance was closing, and the closer it got, the more detailed it became. At first, it was just a silhouette. Then, I started to make out the suggestion of broad shoulders, a long coat. Last week, I could swear I saw the faint outline of a hat. The details were never sharp, always shifting and indistinct, like looking at something through heat haze. But they were there. It was no longer just a shadow. It was taking on a form. I tried everything. I left all the lights on in the house. It made no difference. The figure was a void, a patch of absolute black that seemed to suck the light right out of the air. It didn't cast a shadow. It was asterisk the shadow. I tried blocking the hallway with furniture, a heavy bookshelf. The next morning, the bookshelf was back against the wall, and the figure was at its new, closer position. It never made a sound. I stopped sleeping. How could I? I'd sit up in bed, my phone in my hand, ready to call for help. But who would I call? What would I say? There's a shadow in my hall, and it's getting closer. They'd think I was crazy. Maybe I was. Maybe this was what it felt like to lose your mind. I started talking to it, whispering into the darkness. What do you want? Who are you? The only answer was the suffocating silence. Last night was the worst. 3:17 a.m. My eyes snapped open. It was at the halfway point of the hall. So close now. For the first time, I felt like I could see its face. Not features, not eyes or a mouth, but an impression of a deep, endless hunger, a cold, patient intelligence. It wasn't just standing there, it was waiting. It knew I was awake. It knew I was watching. The feeling was so intense, it was like a physical pressure in the room. I finally broke. I scrambled out of bed, slammed my bedroom door shut, and locked Italiano. I pushed my dresser against it, my hands shaking so badly I could barely get a grip. I spent the rest of the night huddled in the corner of my room, listening for a footstep, for the turn of a doorknob, for a scratch at the door. But there was nothing. Just silence. When the sun came up, I cautiously moved the dresser and opened the door. The hallway was empty. Sunlight filled the space. It was just a normal, boring hallway again. I felt a surge of relief so powerful it made me dizzy. Maybe I'd finally stopped it. Maybe the locked door was enough. But then I saw it, on the outside of my bedroom door, right at eye level. A long, thin scratch in the wood. It was fresh. It wasn't there yesterday. It was a single, deliberate mark, as if something had traced a finger down the grain. I've spent all day trying to figure out what to do. I can't stay here, but I can't leave. What if it follows me? This thing is tied to a time, 3:17 a.m., and it's tied to me. It's methodical. It's patient. And the hallway is only so long. Tonight, I have a new plan. I'm not going to hide. I'm not going to run. I've set up a camera. It's pointing right down the hall. I have every light in the house on, and I'm sitting here, in my living room, waiting. The clock on the wall is ticking. It's almost 3 a.m. I don't know what is going to happen when the clock hits 3:17. I don't know what I'll see on that camera. Maybe nothing. Maybe I am just crazy. Or maybe I'll finally get a clear look at the thing that has been walking toward my bedroom for the past 3 weeks. The thing is the hallway. Ends at my door. There's only about 10 feet left. At the rate it's been moving, it should be right outside my door tonight. The scratch proves it can interact with the world. It can touch things. So the question that has been screaming in my head all day is this. What happens tomorrow night? What happens when it runs out a hallway? Where will it go when it finally reaches the door? I have a terrible, sinking feeling that I already know the answer. It's not going to stop. It's going to come in. The countdown is almost over. Wish me luck. And if you're watching this, check your hallways. Make sure they're empty. Thanks for listening to my story. If I'm able to, I'll post an update. Subscribe to see what happens next.